In the blazing, sun-drenched landscape of Albuquerque, New Mexico, Walter White lives a quiet and humble life. As a high school chemistry teacher, Walter was once filled with passion and promise. He had a gift for science, a talent that set him apart. In his younger years, Walter co-founded a promising research company with brilliant potential, one he believed would change the world and make him wealthy. But in a twist of fate, he left the company under mysterious circumstances, never explaining why. The company went on to become a financial powerhouse, achieving success Walter could only dream of. He watched from the sidelines, haunted by questions of what might have been, as former colleagues became rich and renowned. Those colleagues, Elliot and Gretchen Schwartz, built gray matter technologies into a billion-dollar empire. Their success is a constant reminder of Walter's greatest regret, a wound that never truly heals. Each time he sees their faces in scientific journals or news articles, he feels a fresh surge of bitterness. The truth of his departure, a complex web of pride, jealousy, and unrequited feelings for Gretchen, remains his closely guarded secret, feeding the quiet resentment that shapes his worldview. Now, in his 50s, Walter's life has become a monotonous cycle. He spends his days teaching disinterested high school students who barely glance up from their phones and only half listen to his explanations of chemical reactions. His family finances are strained to breaking point, and to make ends meet, he spends hours working at a local car wash, scrubbing grime from cars as his students sometimes pass by, mocking him. This is not the life Walter had envisioned. His dreams are as faded as the desert around him. His worries about money, his family's future, and his legacy gnaw at him constantly. He has a devoted wife, Skylar, and a teenage son, Walter Jr., who has cerebral palsy and requires special care. Walter is a man burdened by the weight of unfulfilled dreams, but he soldiers on, trying to make the best of the life he's been dealt. The car wash owner, Bogdan, takes particular pleasure in exercising his authority over Walter, constantly reminding him of his subordinate position. Each command to clean the bathrooms or stay late feels like another small humiliation, another reminder of how far he has fallen from his potential. At home, Walter struggles to maintain his dignity, pretending that everything is fine, even as credit card bills pile up and repair needs go unaddressed. One fateful day, everything changes. A routine health checkup reveals a devastating truth. Walter has terminal lung cancer. Shocked and alone with this secret, he is forced to confront his mortality. He envisions leaving his family not just bereaved, but financially broken. The thought of leaving them behind with nothing fills him with dread and despair. He hides his diagnosis from Skylar and Walter Jr., choosing to carry the crushing burden alone. For the first time, Walter feels the cold grip of desperation. Facing his own death, he asks himself what legacy he will leave. His years of sacrifice as a teacher and family man feel hollow. His lifelong struggle for a future that now seems impossibly distant feels like a cruel joke. If he is going to die, he tells himself, he must find a way to leave his family financially secure. The diagnosis awakens something in Walter, a realization that he has spent his entire life playing by the rules, being the good guy, and where has it gotten him? The cancer becomes not just a death sentence, but a liberation from the constraints of conventional morality. Each coughing fit, each moment of weakness, fuels his determination to take control of his destiny in the time he has left. As Walter contemplates his options, a chance encounter with his DEA agent brother-in-law, Hank Schrader, lights a spark in his mind. He accompanies Hank on a drug bust, and Hank explains the allure of the drug trade and the vast sums of money involved. In that moment, Walter glimpses a way out. When a young dealer escapes from the scene, Walter's world is shaken again. He recognizes the dealer as Jesse Pinkman, one of his former students who had once shown promise in his chemistry class. Jesse's presence in Walter's life had always been complicated. As a student, Jesse had shown occasional flashes of brilliance buried beneath his rebellious exterior. Walter had tried to reach him, seeing potential where others saw only trouble. Now, years later, their paths cross again, under circumstances neither could have imagined. The irony isn't lost on Walter, the straight-laced chemistry teacher seeking out his former delinquent student for guidance in the criminal underworld. Walter soon realizes that Jesse holds the key to the underworld he needs to access. Walter tracks down Jesse and makes him an unthinkable offer. He will provide the chemistry skills if Jesse will provide the street smarts. Together, they could make the purest methamphetamine on the market, a blue crystal so pure it would become legendary. At first, Jesse is incredulous, even horrified at the idea of Mr. White as his partner. But Walter's desperation drives him to push harder, and he convinces Jesse that they both have nothing to lose. So begins the unlikely and dangerous partnership between a disgruntled chemistry teacher and a small-time drug dealer. Their early attempts at cooking meth are marked by chaos and near disasters. They steal equipment from the high school, set up their lab in a broken-down RV, and struggle to establish their product in a market dominated by violent competitors. Jesse's connections prove unreliable, and Walter's inexperience in the criminal world leads to dangerous mistakes. Yet through it all, Walter's chemistry expertise begins to shine. He approaches meth production with the same meticulous attention to detail he once brought to his research, creating a product of unprecedented purity. At first, Walter's motivations seem noble. He's only doing this for his family, he reassures himself. He will cook meth for just long enough to earn enough money for their future. But Walter soon finds himself drawn deeper into the dangerous world of drug production and distribution. His meth quickly becomes famous for its purity, a distinctive blue crystal that sweeps through the drug market. Walter adopts the alias Heisenberg, and his reputation begins to grow. With each success, Walter's confidence swells, and he finds a thrill in the danger. It's no longer just about money, it's about proving his worth and reclaiming the control he feels life has stolen from him. The name Heisenberg becomes more than just an alias. It becomes Walter's alternate identity, a vessel for all the darkness and ambition he has suppressed throughout his life. With each new challenge, Heisenberg grows stronger, while Walter White, the mild-mannered teacher, begins to fade. The transformation is subtle at first, a harder edge to his voice, a willingness to intimidate, a growing comfort with violence when necessary. He begins to take pride in his reputation, savoring the fear his name inspires in the criminal underworld. Before long, Walter and Jesse's operation catches the attention of Tuco Salamanca, a volatile and unhinged drug dealer with a taste for violence. The partnership with Tuco is short-lived, fraught with danger and brutality, as Walter discovers a darker side to himself, a side willing to use his chemistry knowledge not only to produce drugs, but also as a weapon. Walter's ruthlessness shocks Jesse, but he rationalizes it as survival, a necessary evil. The chemistry teacher, who once strived for integrity, is slipping away, replaced by someone he barely recognizes. Tuco's violent unpredictability forces Walter to embrace his own capacity for brutality. When Tuco kidnaps them, intending to force them to cook in Mexico, Walter must think quickly to save their lives. His solution, using fulminated mercury as an explosive, demonstrates his growing ability to weaponize his chemistry knowledge. The incident marks a turning point. Walter realizes that his scientific expertise gives him an edge his competitors lack. He begins to see chemistry not just as a means of production, but as a tool for power and control. With Tuco out of the picture, Walter's empire continues to grow, and he and Jesse attract the attention of a new, more calculated player. Gustavo "Gus" Fring, a powerful and disciplined drug lord who runs a major operation behind the front of his fast food restaurant chain, Los Pollos Hermanos. Gus presents himself as a calm, collected businessman, the opposite of Tuco's chaos. Seeing potential in Walter's chemistry skills, he offers them a partnership, providing a state-of-the-art meth lab hidden beneath an industrial laundromat. For a while, Walter feels secure. He's making money on a scale he never imagined, and he thinks he can manage the operation without further consequences. The partnership with Gus represents everything Walter thought he wanted: professional respect, state-of-the-art equipment, and the chance to practice his craft at the highest level. The underground lab becomes his sanctuary, a place where his expertise is valued and his authority unquestioned. Yet even as he achieves unprecedented success, Walter's pride and need for control begin to chafe against Gus's authority. The same qualities that make Gus an ideal partner, his intelligence, discipline, and strategic thinking, make him a formidable opponent when their relationship begins to sour. But as Walter climbs higher in the drug world, his ambition grows. He begins to resent Gus's authority and longs to break free. His pride blinds him to the dangers, and he plots to overthrow Gus, enlisting Jesse and Mike Ermintrout, Gus's quiet yet fearsome enforcer, in his scheme. Walter's cunning wins out, and he kills Gus in a brutal showdown. He is no longer the man who entered this world out of desperation. He is a kingpin, ruling a meth empire with fear and precision. In seizing control, however, Walter crosses a moral threshold from which there is no return. The murder of Gus Fring becomes Walter's masterpiece of manipulation and chemistry. Using Hector Salamanca's hatred of Gus and a homemade bomb, Walter orchestrates an explosion that not only kills his rival, but also eliminates any evidence of his involvement. The victory is complete, but it comes at a terrible cost. The last vestiges of Walter White's moral compass are destroyed along with Gus, leaving only Heisenberg in his place. Walter's transformation from family man to ruthless drug lord is complete, and the consequences unravel his life. Skylar discovers the truth, horrified by the man he has become. She is forced to launder his money, living in constant fear of him. Hank, who has tirelessly hunted down the mysterious Heisenberg, is devastated when he finally realizes it's Walter. The lies and violence destroy his relationships and, ultimately, his family's safety. Skylar's journey from supportive wife to reluctant accomplice mirrors Walter's own moral decay. She becomes trapped in a web of lies, forced to protect her children while managing the facade of normalcy. Their marriage, once built on trust and shared dreams, deteriorates into a power struggle. Walter Jr., who had always idolized his father, is shattered when he learns the truth. The family Walter claimed to be protecting becomes collateral damage in his pursuit of power. As his empire crumbles, Walter becomes increasingly isolated. His relationship with Jesse, once a strange blend of partnership and paternal care, turns poisonous. The discovery of Walter's role in poisoning Brock, Jesse's girlfriend's son, becomes the final betrayal. Jesse, who had looked up to Walter despite everything, now sees him for what he truly is: a manipulator who has used and discarded everyone around him. In the end, with law enforcement closing in and his health failing, Walter returns to Albuquerque one last time to face the consequences of his choices. In a final act of redemption, he frees Jesse, now imprisoned by a gang that took over the meth operation, and confronts his enemies, sacrificing himself to save Jesse's life. Walter dies alone in the meth lab, gazing at the equipment that symbolized both his brilliance and his descent into darkness. These final moments bring Walter full circle. The lab, much like the classroom he left behind, represents the purity of chemistry he once loved, but now it's tainted by the darkness of his choices. His death among the gleaming equipment and chemical smells is both fitting and tragic, a genius who used his talents not to benefit humanity, but to feed his own pride and ambition. Walter White's story is a tragic exploration of ambition, pride, and the cost of control. He begins as an ordinary man, but in his quest to secure his family's future, he becomes a villain, a tragic figure whose journey reminds us that even the best intentions can lead to unimaginable darkness. His legacy is not the financial security he sought for his family, but rather a cautionary tale about the corrupting influence of power and the dangers of unchecked pride. In the end, Walter White achieved the greatness he always felt he deserved, but at a price that destroyed everything he once held dear.